Again, we welcome all. Please smile with rejoicing as these proceedings begin. Mr. McClellan and the band, please play on. Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome all the West family. This is our family night. Proud of all of you, as I know you're proud of some people here. And I want to mention something about those grandparents, because I know some of you are there, and I know that you are especially proud. I take special pride. This is my last commencement for West, and it's been a great privilege to work with you all. Something else a little bit different tonight, you'll notice on the flag staff at the north end of the stadium, and again on my stage left, are the flags bearing the emblem of the United States Department of Education and the great seal of the President of the United States, indicating this group is one of the best high schools in America. There are many things that we could say about the 531 graduates, 7 National Merit finalists, 32 of them with 3-year scholarship pins, 60 are Kansas scholars, 112 have won the President's Academic Fitness Award. They'll be attending 64 colleges in 22 states. 73 of them, if they could actually accept 126 different scholarships that they've received, would total in value $596,000. So it is a great class and a great group indeed. We will honor each one with a diploma, but we want to call special attention to our top 10. I will read the names, but our superintendent of schools is here tonight to present the awards, Dr. Raj Chopra. Assisting him will be the Associate Superintendent for Secondary Education, Dr. James Foster. I would now like for the top 10 to move out and move to my stage left. The top 10 now, and I would ask you to withhold your applause until we've read all the names. In alphabetical order, Brad Allbaugh, Karen Anderson, Karen Gastreich, Kathleen Hopkins, Tracy Merriman, Elizabeth Moran, Andrew Muir, Pierre Musy, Maria Richardson, Henry Wiechman. And that is your top 10 for the class of '85. As usual, we will have two students giving orations this evening. The first one will be by Elizabeth Moran. She is the daughter of Philip and Kathleen Moran. She was president of the Pep Club, president of the National Honor Society. She lettered in basketball, drill team, manager, and many other things. She plans to attend Boston College. Tonight, speaking on graduation, a fire ablaze, Elizabeth Moran.
Dr. Johnson, administrators, faculty, family, friends, fellow graduates of the class of 1985, graduation, a fire ablaze. The smoldering ashes are black and coldly dying, yet in their midst a glowing ember, a new generation. It is a breath, a single breath of air which might ignite a flame ever so fragile, a flame which must be carefully nurtured and protected. It is this vulnerable flame which might one day rage across the sky as lightning, or in its fury run rampant through a forest, annihilating everything in its path. Yet it is this flame which too might maintain the symbol of innocence and purity, as well as that of strength and knowledge. A single flickering flame, a newborn child, both fighting for that oxygen which might carry them into life. Weak and exposed, they will not survive. They must be carefully protected, for they are frail and powerless. As is a child, a fire is slowly nurtured. It needs the gentle hands of a mother to shelter it from the slightest breeze. Although its delicacy might remain, with love and support, this insubstantial light will grow. As milk sustains a child, shavings and twigs provide the nourishment for our flame. Gradually, the faint, gentle glow develops until our care and attentions have kindled a brilliant light. Almost imperceptibly, a fire is ablaze, a fervent fire with passionate intensity, desiring to extend and amplify. Yet with no wood, a fire is quickly trodden out. Its logs must be continually turned so as to make a dull fire burn. Fortunately for us here tonight, our logs were turned and new logs were added. Our blaze grew in radiant splendor. We became involved in high school. We participated in activities, each in their own way, enhancing our glow. Our classes, teachers, and friends continually enriched the flame our parents had ignited. Yet we too faced the wind. We entered our sophomore classes with teachers towering above us like the threat of a storm. As we entered classes like geometry or biology, they were sure to test our fire, as were the pressures we faced on the playing field, the stage, and within our social realm. Yet deep within us was that glowing ember, and although our flame wavered, it did not die. Instead, colors had been added, from blues to reds, from oranges to yellows, until tonight, we are here in almost pure white light, a fire ablaze. This last summer at the Olympic Games, a torch was lit, and fire became the symbol of peace and unity, as well as that of strength, endurance, and sheer determination. The warmth and light around which our life revolves comes from the greatest fire, the sun. It is necessary for our continuity and perpetual being. Through it, we see fire as a vital facet of life. Yet both of these familiar sights, the sun and the Olympic torch, seem frail next to the blaze inside each of us tonight, the fire of the class of 1985. Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. stated, "Through our great good fortune, in our youth our hearts were touched with fire. It is this fire our parents have ignited, and through their constant devotion, they have kindled a brilliant light. Our family, our classmates, and our teachers have been the logs of our fire, constantly turning, feeding, and attending to us so that we might burn brightly while allowing us to expand so that a wind will no longer enfeeble us, but rather serve to fan our fire. Once a single flickering flame, a newborn child, yearning, struggling, fighting for life. A fire is now ablaze. We are prepared to arise, go forth, and conquer. And in the words of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world."
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Our next speaker will be Wright. He is the son of Gary Wright, Among many activities, he was the Student Congress President, a DECA National winner in forensics and in debate, and the National Honor Society. He plans to attend the University of Missouri at Columbia. Speaking on the topic Beyond the Best, Greg Wright.
Nice try, guys. Ladies, gentlemen, educators, and fellow graduates, we are here tonight to celebrate the climax of many years of education. We entered this field as Shawnee Mission West High School students. We will leave this field as Shawnee Mission West High School alumni. In our time as Vikings, many of us have learned about algebra and geometry. Many read Shakespeare or some other great writer. And our diploma will imply that we have knowledge in grammar and geography. But I feel that I can safely say that what we learned the most about was none of these topics. Instead, each one of us, by our own experiences, learned the most about life. You see, the class of 1985 is an interesting one, an incredible one, but at the core, one that is not too much unlike any other group of teenagers who grew up together. We have, if I may say one final time, been recognized for excellence in education. This means that on top of fantastic academic atmospheres, we have created the spirit it takes to produce winners, and in co- and extracurricular activities. We have Sunflower League champions in more than one area. We have students and organizations who can claim to be state champions or national merit finalists and even national champions. And within our own school, students have made amazing strides to better that function. And we also have a surprising number of athletes, scholars, and leaders who will be attending college on scholarships. Faculty members often say that we are the best class they've ever seen. Well, okay, I lied about that one. But it is a fact that SM West's class of 85 is a class of movers and doers, a class of winners. Still, when I look at the faces on this field, I don't see league champions or national merit finalists. I see 531 kids who will be leaving a little portion of themselves when they leave our school. I see young men and women who have changed. None of us are the same now as we were when we first became a Viking. We have changed. It all goes back to that thing we've learned so much about, life. Oh, sure, we'll remember the dances and the parties. Some will remember more than others. But those group events will be secondary. The memories that will flourish every time a certain song plays or we play that certain game will be the ones of personal experiences that we had with very special people. We will remember when we wanted to ask her out so badly, but every time she got near, we got sweaty. We will remember our friends telling us that he wanted to go out, and we will remember going out. The next time, it wasn't so tough. We experienced, we grew. 531 people, and none of us will look back on high school in the same way. When we come on this stage and receive our diplomas, we will walk off this stage, and that will be it. Next year, some sophomore will move into our locker and begin his own metamorphosis into adulthood. They will sit at our desks and make fun of our teachers, and they'll tell the jokes that we made up. And they probably won't know that we exist. But in a way, that's what makes our class different. We have left our signature, and may I say the penmanship is outstanding, and now we are ready to move on. Tonight is a culmination of what we have spent most of our lives working for. It is the crowning achievement for each of us. It is, without a doubt, a very important milestone. From here, many of us will go away to college. Many of us will stay home and go to college. Some of us will leap directly into the working world, and a few of us will defend our country in the armed forces. The one thing that we all have in common is that for each of us, we are facing a new challenge. We have reached one peak. Now we must set out to conquer other mountains. That is why we must think of this time not so much as a milestone, but as a stepping stone. Let us use the momentum gained from this accomplishment to spur us on to bigger and better accomplishments. Let the wisdom that we have acquired from our experiences spark still more growth and greater success. In the midst of the challenges and the breaking free, however, we run the risk of distorting the past, neglecting it so that we can start fresh. I heard some advice a while back that seems appropriate. Someone said, "It's easy to forget what's important, so don't." Let us not forget that without Dad and Mom and all of the family, we could not have grown so brilliantly. Let us not distort the pictures of those who made these years so special. and let us remember why they made them so special. See if we cannot someday return that favor to someone who may need it. After all, we have done the most when we have helped someone else do a little more. Look around. Some of these people will be your friends for life, and some you will never see again. As a member of the class of '85, we will share this success with one another for eternity. Look ahead, strive forward, but never forget what we had together, and we may someday have another united success. It can be said that success is getting what you want, while happiness is wanting what you get. To you, Shawnee Mission West High School's class of 1985, may your successes continue, and may happiness prevail.
Thank you, Greg. I want the people who will be getting ready to read the roll and present the diplomas to be free to go ahead and begin to prepare for that. It is that time when I do say to the Board of Education members that this class has met the requirements as set forth by the Kansas State Department of Education and by the Shawnee Mission Board of Education, and I recommend that they do receive their diplomas. Just as we have had student speakers, we will have student readers of the final roll to receive those diplomas. The readers are Jennifer Jones, daughter of Bart and Paulette Jones, was in forensics, the radio and TV class, student Congress member, vice president of senior class, and plans to go to Kansas State. Jennifer Jones. Another reader will be Cindy Firestone. Cynthia is the daughter of Gerald and Sharon Firestone, earned the degree of excellence in National Forensics League and a 3-year letter from debate 1 year, student Congress vice president in the National Honor Society, and plans to go to Emporia State. Cindy Firestone. There are a number of people helping with diploma presentations, and we're privileged to have them to help us here at West tonight. Presenting diplomas will be Mrs. Joan Bowman, who is president of the Shawnee Mission School Board. Mrs. Laura Hendricks, who is the West Area School Board representative. And Mrs. Julie Miller, a member of the Shawnee Mission School Board. Also helping us this evening will be Dr. Don Wilson, who is the Associate Superintendent for Instruction of Shawnee Mission Schools, and Dr. Gene Church, Associate Superintendent of the West Area. I want to thank each of you for being here and for helping with the diploma presentation. Preparing those diplomas to be presented will be Dr. Foster, I have previously introduced, and Dr. Roberts, Associate Principal, Shawnee Mission West, and Mrs. Joe Carroll, Associate Principal, Shawnee Mission West. It comes that special time that you have awaited and is important to everyone here. These readers have practiced, and we have planned a program so that each of you can hear that very important graduate's name. However, if you try to recognize that name at that time, you're going to spoil it for the next one in line. I beg of you to let each one have their moment of high honor and hear their name read distinctly.
Chad Lee Allbaugh, Heather Starr Aaron, John Lawrence Alex, Stephanie K. Allen, Karen K. Anderson, Richard Rod Anderson, Walter Joseph Annitzberger, Julie Ann Angerman, John Joseph Antony, Sean Michael Argenbright, Stephen Eugene Arnhart, Brett Bernard Ashner, Richard Dean Atkinson, Michael William Austin, Debbie Ann Bailey, Kent Cameron Baker, Laura Ann Baker, Gina Marie Baldus, Abel Bernardo Barnett, Charmel Nicole Basquette, Karen Elizabeth Berry, Christopher D. Burton, Robin Christine Berry, Deanne Marie Belshie, Paula Ann Burnett, Edgar Scott Barrage Jr., Cynthia Ann Bigger, William Aaron Bender, Paul Frederick Bischoff, Ronald Eugene Bishop, Michael Charles Black, Abby Denise Blair, Dale Brown Blake, Donna Michelle Blakesley, Jeffrey John Blanchett, Joanne Blanchett, Deborah Lynn Beckenhop, Deborah Ann Bosworth, Donald Frederick Bowden, Shelley Denise Boyd, Edward DeForest Bradshaw, Andrew Michael Brannigan, Lisa Leanne Brazil, Alan Lee Bright, Allison April Brown, Stacy Elizabeth Brown, Melissa Marie Brown, Sheldon Ray Bryan, Alicia Deneen Briles, Adam Michael Burke, Linda K. Burks, Chip Michael Bessel, Stephanie Ann Caldwell, Kent Thomas Callicott, Kendra Ann Campbell, Amy Colleen Canfield, Ellen Marie Cantrell, Eric Warren Cardwell, Deborah K. Carlberg, Deborah Ann Carlson, Kyle Patrick Carlson, Michael Wayne Carroll, Kenneth Ivan Carswell, Daniel Ellsworth Carver, Angela Marie Catalina, Julie Mary Solano, Stacy Elise Chapman, Dallin H. Christensen, Melinda Jo Christian, Todd Joseph Clark, Richie Don Clemens, Lisa K. Klingenpeel, Jeffrey Frank Collins, Jennifer Jo Collins, Kimberly Ann Collins, Christine Elizabeth Keneally, Heather Lee Cooper, Terry Marie Copley, Jeffrey Allen Corder, Diana Lee Craig, Shelley Jean Cordill, Drew Allen Cresswell, Teresa Ann Kraus, Stephen Lee Crutchfield, Denise Susan Cunningham, Karen Sue Cutright, Russell Charles Daniels, Leanne Marie Danielson, Teresa Marie Danner, Connie Sue Davis, Jeffrey Scott Davis, Julie Elizabeth Davis, Michael Kent Davis, Sybil Lee Davis, Diana Michelle DeMaria, Carrie Lynn DeMars, Jennifer Lynn DeMoss, Cheryl Sue Denman, Patrick Keith Denny, Christina Lynn Devereaux, Dana Michelle Dixon, Kathleen Jean Dobagay, Denise Marie Dolan, David Ward Doty, Deanne Douglas, Tamara Lynn Dowden, Karen Ann Downey, Lee Danielle Drew, Angus McLean Duff, Christopher Allen Dunbar, Elizabeth Ann Diehouse, Michael Wayne Edgecombe, Jeffrey Allen Elliott, Michael Allen Elliott, Jamie Catherine Ellis, Stephanie Evans, Larry Eldon Endicott, Curtis Craig Featherly Jr., Stephen Paul Farron, Richard Douglas Fielder, Victoria Marie Finley, Cynthia Lee Firestone, Cynthia Lynn Fitzpatrick, Nancy Marie Fletcher, Sandra Lynn Flowers, Nancy Lynn Four, Kimberly Ann Fortney, Charles Lovell Fossell, Sherry Lynn France, David Matthew Fries, Stephen Andrew Fry, Jill Louise Fife, Raymond Joseph Gable, Rochelle Marie Galliano, David Andrew Galbraith, Christopher A. Galvin, Karen Rita Gastreich, Robert Melville Giles,
Janetta Lynn Gilpatrick, Dean Raymond Gilmer, Peggy Ann Glonert, Margot Elizabeth Gordon, Brian Allen Gordon, Joel Down Grantham, Rhonda K. Greenhagen, Randall Dean Griffin, Gayle Groff, Nanita Haben Gumangan, Kathleen Ann Gunderman, Karen Lee Hagley, Susan Lee Hale, Heather Ann Hall, Stephen R. Hall, Denisha Gale Hansen, Harry Dwayne Halstead, Kimberly Sue Hamlin, Katie Hanslip, Michael John Harden, Rochelle Marie Harding, Candy Sue Harrell, Michael Brian Harlan, Sean Michael Harriman, Cheryl Christine Harris, Rhonda Elizabeth Harris, Laura Renee Harshney, Troy Lee Hartman, Donald Allen Hartzell, James Brian Hazlett, John Drummond Heath Jr., Matthew Wesley Heath, Nancy Lee Hebel, Christopher Mark Hines, Michelle Jean Hendricks, Thomas Patrick Hingler, Mary Patricia Henry, Todd Perkins Hensley, Tamara Ann Henson, Christine Karen Hicks, Kelly Ann Hill, Stephen Charles Hill, Kenneth Brett Hillblom, Kelly D. Hilton, Donna Louise Hinton, Diana Marie Hoagland, Brett Charles Hoganadel, Diane Marie Hodges, Marita Hoffman, Derek Leo Hogan, Trevor Kyle Holsinger, Mary Lynn Holwick, Tracy Lynn Hootman, Kathleen Sue Hopkins, Kelly Ann Hopkins, Anne Marie House, Brett David Hover, Brett David Hover, Jennifer Lee Howe, Matthew Leon Howe, Curtis Lee Hoyt, Elizabeth Ann Heben, James Gregory Hufstetler, Darla K. Hull, Gerald Ray Humbert Jr., Angela K. Humphrey, William Joseph Hundelt III, Stephanie Denise Hunter, Steve Ingram, Janet Louise Ishmael, Cheryl Lynn Jacobson, Douglas Michael Janesco, Lisa Renee Jenkins, Kyle Paul Jester, James Ross Jeter, Susan Elizabeth Johansson, Brian Neal Johansson, Les Richard Johnson, Randy Kevin Johnson, Stephen Douglas Johnson, Jennifer Lee Jones, Nikki Lynn Jones, Robert Lowe Jones, Scott Stewart Jones, Jeffrey Eugene Judy, Pamela Marie Kaduck, Laura Lynn Kelly, David Lloyd Kemp, John Earl Kill, Laura K. King, Scott D. Kenner, Eric William Kissick, Derek D. Kleindoff, Timothy Apton Knight, Rebecca Ann Knight, Jane Patricia Qualick,
Jane Elizabeth Knoop, Alexander Cogan, Roger Claude LaGrange, Tisha Renee Lamar, Emily Lasky, Bradley Jonathan Lasota, Thomas Anthony Latendress, Teresa Leanne Lawrence, David William Laws, David Juho Lee, Christy Noel Leonard, Stephen Michael Lure, Anne Marie Lewandowski, John Ray Lewis, Laura Lind, Edward Owen Linder, Stephanie A. Lindsay, Leslie Gale Linnell, Brenda Lynn Lotion, Patricia K. Lombardo, David Vincent Lopez, Matthew Don Love, Mark Allen Lovsky, Jennifer Suzanne Lucas, Patrick Ying Kwai Loy, Daniel Keith Lynn, David Anthony Lynn, Melvin Wade Lyons, Kelly Francis Masick, Marcella Louise Morcillo, Valerie Margaret Mackey, Scott William Myland, Stephen Chris Macarunas, James Richard Mandel Jr., Gina Louise Morona, Darren Scott Mankey, Nancy Ann Marshall, Alan Eugene Martin, Julianne Mashler, Catherine Bridget Matz, Greg Allen Mays, David Kent McAfee, Steve Allen McIntosh,
Michelle Elizabeth McKay, Kari Jill McKenzie, Aaron Scott McLaughlin, Eric Jerome McLaughlin, Jennifer Lynn McMahill, Carolyn Diane McNaughton, Penny Michelle McNichols, William James Medley, Brenda Renee Meeks, Amy Elizabeth Meinert, Deborah Rosillian Melchior, Karen Ann Menchaca, Tracy Lynn Merriman, Deanna Lynn Miller, Ronald Richard Millett, Kenneth Wayne Miner, Mary Beth Miner, Michael Alexander Molina, Anne Marie Moneymaker, Brian Frederick Mooney, Julie Annette Moore, Elizabeth Jean Moran, Heather Mueller, Andrew Joseph Muir, Amy Lynn Munson, Sean Arthur Murphy, Pierre Eve Musy, Jane Elizabeth Myers, Stacy Lee Miles, Suman Lal Nachnani, Mark Gerard Neidenberger, Patricia Elizabeth Neidenberger, Deborah Neal, Lisa Ann Nemechek, Eric Anthony Nyer, Natalie Maria Nickel, Sandra Lee Neiman, Jill Suzanne Norton, Laura Ann Oakes, Michael Edward Oakes, Eric Sean Odell, Pamela Sue Ogle, Ann Catherine Amajandro, Thomas S. Orlando, Troy Allen Osborne, Arthur Mack Osborne, Stephanie Lynn O'Shea, Tammy Lene Osana, Robert D. Owens, Stephen Gregory Owsley, Ilya Rick Papanako, Kyung Rin Park, Gregory Paul Pasley, Linda Ann Pasquale, Keith Allen Patterson, Thomas Michael Pavlicek, Maureen Peary, Nancy Renee Pennington, Anne Christine Peterson, Erica Rachel Peterson, Kristen Joy Phillips, Clifford Craig Philpott, Joey Sue Pierce, Lisa Diane Pearson, Eolinda Lena Pettis, James Bernard Porterfield, Frederick William Powell, James Darren Powell, Julie Renee Powell, Kimberly Michelle Pruitt, Michael Victor Proletsky, Michelle Marie Prock, Stephanie Lynn Ram, Joel Edward Ramsdale, Carolyn Elaine Randall, Leslie Renee Rangel, Shelley Lynn Reardon, Eden Allen Rarick, Diana Joy Rawson, Jody Sue Redmond, John Michael Reedy, Brian Keith Reeves, Russell Benson Reynolds III, Cynthia Marie Richardson, Maria Lynn Richardson, Jennifer Ann Richelieu, Carson David Reichert, James Michael Riggle, Sherry Lynn Riggle, Brian Eric Riggs, Joseph Patrick Reinhardt, Garth Mitchell Ritchie, Jana K. Roberts, Sonia Lee Roberts, Jeffrey Drain Robinson, Sam Amin Raphael, Joel Ann Rogers, Amy Christine Rollheiser, Carol Lynn Ross, Tracy Dawn Ross, Lisa Carol Rubior, William Albert Rumley Jr., Robert Paul Rapelius, Carol Elaine Rutledge, Colleen Elizabeth Reichert, Lenise Ame Samudio, Kelly Ann Sanders, Stuart Lynn Sanders, Anita Satsangi, Jennifer Leonora Savio, Jennifer Suzanne Schaff. Heath Glenn Shesher. Patrick Dale Schlemmer. Joanna Lee Schlamer. Charles Andrew Schmidt. Michael Jacob Schwabauer.
Michelle Christine Scott. Barbara Ann Sell. Shannon Lynette Sirios. Joan Marie Severson. Laura Ann Sexton. Callista Georgiana Shank. Michaela Sue Shanklin. Dana Marie Shannon. Annette Marie Sharp. David Quinn Shelby. Brent Stephen Shepard. Kevin Sean Shields. Irina Shoykett. Janet Lisa Silverstein. Laura J. Simos. David C. Simpson. Matthew Wayne Simpson. Rodney L. Sims. Teresa Joanna Smeedle. David Brian Smith. Heidi Smith. Stephen Richard Smithers. Stephen Ward Smithson. Melinda Diana Snell. Tira Ann Sutart. Heidi Sue Solly. Daniel Lee Sontheimer. Meenakshi Sood. Richard Jesse Southward. Jeffrey Michael Southwell. Rhonda Renee Sparks. Kimberly Ann Spencer. Mary Lorene Spray. David James Stankiewicz. Marlyn Springelmeyer. Norris Kurt Stoffer. Bradley C. Steele. Christopher Lee Stevens. Laura Louise Stevens. Jackson Gaynor Stewart III. Candace Lee Strickland. Kimberly Ann Strickland. Stephen Lee Strickland. Judith Ann Stroud. John Edward Stuckey. James Robert Sullivan. Marsha Lene Sutton. Victoria Lynn Sutton. Jennifer Lynn Tanner. Seema Tanvir. Shannon Marie Tate. Christy Lynn Taylor. Kyle Edward Thomas. Deanna Ray Tomlinson. Scott Harvey Thompson. Janet Marie Teedy. Maureen Elizabeth Tierney. Eloisa May Titcomb. Janet Elaine Tomps. William Douglas Wall. Janet Elaine Tomps. Felix James Traynor II. Dow T. Bith Tran. Ty Van Tran. Tu T. Yim Tran. Lisa Diane Tribble. Lisa Lynn Tripp. Janice Sue Turner. Ronnie Sue Tweeten. Stephen Edward Yuko. Robert Waldemar Ulmer. Lisa Marie Valdez. Melissa Ann Bond. David Alexander Veach. Christine Page Voss. Brian Thomas Weisner. Hai Quang Gu. Tamara K. Walsh. Sonia Leanne Walker. Susan Ray Wallace. Michelle Renee Ward. Douglas M. Warner. Deborah Lynn Watson. Laura Jane Webster. Elizabeth Ann Weedman. Michael Don Weibel. Lisa Marie Wiedenhofer. Ryan F. Widener. Michael Warren Wells. Douglas Wayne Wendell. Hallie Dominique Wheat. Kathleen Sue White. Chris Edward White. Trudy Lynn White. Henry Joseph Wiechman. David Howe Weems. Karen Lee Wiggins. Marion Therese Wildy. Wayne Richard Wildy Jr. Jill Lynn Wilkie. Barbara Lee Williams. Deborah Lynn Williams. Lori Lee Wilson. Christy Darnley Wolf. Helen Elaine Woods. Jan Marie Woodworth. Ginger Lynn Woolley. Gregory Drew Wright. Joshua Michael Yellen. R. Michael York. Charles L. Young. Darren L. Youngberg. Teresa Elizabeth Youngworth. Yama Zafer. Rodney Ray Zen.
Would the class please stand? As you do move the tassel from the right to the left side, I now recognize you as graduates of Shawnee Mission West High School. May you represent West with honor. You may be seated while we have some announcements for the closing of our ceremonies. The people for the school song may come forward, and those we will be asking the audience to remain seated for the recessional. We'll ask the faculty to now prepare for the recessional. The faculty may prepare. People singing the song, come right on up.
Will you please rise for the alma mater?
Alma mater, hail to thee, sing we now so joyfully, honor, praise, and loyalty, ever shall our promise be. Onward we are always striving, for our colors brave undying. Hail to thee, Shawnee, Muir, Shawn West. Hail to thee, Shawnee, Muir, Shawn